Welcome to everyone present for this meeting in the Civic Centre and also to those observing the meeting on Microsoft Teams. No fire drills are expected this evening, so in the event of the alarm sounding, please quickly make your way out of the building. There are 3 exits from this room which members can use to vacate the premises. Please turn your mobile phones onto silent or switch off and take any calls outside of the council chamber. Do not leave any bags unaccompanied and report any unaccompanied bags. Remember to take all the bags with you when the meeting has concluded or as you leave the meeting. This meeting will be subject to filming or audio recording by others in accordance with the Council's filming protocol. Anyone who remains in the meeting following this announcement will have deemed to have consented to allow their image to be recorded and broadcast. I'd like to remind members to turn their microphones on when speaking and to sit back from the microphones to assist the audio recording. Thank you. I'd like to turn in item 1 of the published agenda, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. We have one apology of absence that's been received from Councillor Abbs.
Thank you. Are there any other apologies? Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. No other apologies. Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda, minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of September 2024. I'd like to invite Councillor Coxhead to propose the minutes of the Council held on the 17th of 24 to confirm the minutes as a correct record. Councillor Coxhead, a seconder.
Second it, please.
Councillor Beaches. We'll have a vote to show accuracy. Would you put your hands up to vote for accuracy? Thank you. Thank you. Moving to item 4 of the agenda, receipt of correspondence laid before the Council by the Chair of the Council, elected mayor, members of the Executive or head of service. Has there been any correspondence?
Thank you, Chair. We've received one item of correspondence received from Councillor Barton advising that the 3 members of the Mansfield Independent Group left the group and have formed a reform group. This has not affected the political balance of the council as they've just transferred into the reform group. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Moving to item 5 of the agenda, advanced questions from members of the public. Are there any advanced questions?
There are none, Chair.
Thank you. Item 6 on the agenda, advanced questions submitted by members. Are there any advanced questions from members?
Thank you, Chair. There are 4.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Councillor Hartshorn to put her question to the Portfolio for Health and Wellbeing. Councillor Hartshorn? There we go. Thank you. Okay. Just bear with me. Sorry about this, Chair. I was late coming in, so I'm just having to get them upon here. Yeah, Adam. Okay, thank you. So, obviously, I have 3 questions tonight. My first question is, in Ladybrook, Mansfield, following the horrific attack a few weeks ago, a young person in its park and outside a local store, there is now a sense of feeling that some parents dare not let their children go out on the local park. What work is being done in Ladybrook to support families to help them promote a safer environment? Jackson, is it you answering?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for can you hear me? Thank you for your question, Councillor Hartshorn. This was indeed a nasty incident which has had a significant physical and emotional impact on the young person. And I'm sure that everybody in this chamber will join me in wishing him well in his recovery. The community of Ladybrook has responded and funding was raised to support the family. And I think it's also important to say that there is ongoing work by the local councillors. They're working tirelessly in the area to support residents and to bring the community together, and this will continue. In the immediate days after the attack, Mayor Andy Abrams reached out to the young person's mother and arranged to meet her to discuss the incident and understand the impact. This gave Mum the opportunity to share her thoughts on what needs to be done locally to prevent incidents like this from happening again and help people feel safe in the community. Specifically in response to the incident and on top of the ongoing work in the area, a public meeting was held on Saturday the 16th of November. This was attended by the Mayor, by the local county and district councillors, portfolio holder for community safety, myself, representatives from Nottinghamshire Police and a representative from the Environment and Community Protection team. The meeting gave residents the opportunity to share their concerns and experiences and discuss practical ideas for tackling antisocial behaviour and criminal activity in the area. Residents spoke about drug dealing, drug use and associated behaviours as being a major cause for concern. However, Police Inspector Kylie Davis shared data suggesting that not all crimes were being reported, and she's urged residents to report incidents and went through the various options. So that's one way of helping the residents feel safe, by giving them all the options they can use to report incidents. Further to that, the Neighbourhood Beat team will engage with residents to gather details and intelligence relating to incidents in Ladybrook, and that's on top of the patrols the police are already undertaking. Specifically with regard to what the council are doing, we have responded by increasing the community protection officer patrols and ensuring that Ladybrook Park specifically is on the team's priority patrol plan. That's not easy to say. For the foreseeable future. That was actually done in the immediate aftermath of the attack. Also, the council are undertaking work to explore the feasibility of installing CCTV to cover the park and the surrounding area. The surrounding area includes the pub and the shop, where there is a lot of reports of antisocial behaviour and drug dealing. A technical solution has already been identified, i.e. where it's going to go and how it's going to be plugged into the mains. That's what that means. Intelligence that's necessary to support the justification for the camera. We need to do that because of the legislation, as I'm sure you're aware. And that ties back to people being asked to report their concerns through formal processes. Once in place, quotes will be secured and then the team can work on identifying funding. And as this develops, we will keep the local community informed. Residents also expressed concerns about a lack of services and activities for young people and felt that this was contributing to the antisocial behaviour. So County Councillor Paul Henshaw offered to set up a meeting with youth services to look at whether any outreach work could be provided. And in addition to that, Inspector Davis is exploring an option of funding which is available in conjunction with Mansfield Town Football Club, which might be used to deliver outreach products for young people. I hope that answers your question, Councillor Hartshorn.
Thank you, Councillor. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Hartshorn? Would you now like to put your second question to the Portfolio for Regeneration and Growth? Sorry. Okay, some residents are sharing the concerns with me regarding their feelings about Mansfield Town Centre. It seems the progress has been made with the bid and the MDC in the partnership has escaped them somehow. Could the portfolio holder for regeneration please elaborate on how the footfall for the town centre has increased and what he attributes to this? Richardson?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hartshorn, for that. This is an important question. Can I comment firstly on the footfall figures? Mansfield, like many other places, experiences a number of trends, including the changing dynamic of retail and the challenge of online shopping, and of course, the recovery from the pandemic. I believe we have reason to be optimistic. In 2018-19, footfall was at 6.4 million people and declining as we went towards the pandemic. In 2021, given all the restrictions, it fell to just under 3 million. But steadily since then, footfall has recovered. The last full year to date of 23-24 records, footfall of 5.9 million, better than the last pre-pandemic level. This is in no little by the actions of the Mansfield District Council staff. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all staff for working hard to support our town to thrive and prosper. Equally, as members will be aware, the council is leading on the diversification and improvement of the town centre through a set of projects which will transform town centre footfall. Mansfield Connect will bring services and residents together into a revitalised part of the town. New residential development at White Hart Street and improvements to the streetscape and some of its most valuable buildings will see an increased footfall and greater opportunity for commercial development to follow. The council's partners are also supporting the town centre. West Notts College is investing heavily in new facilities in and around the town, bringing students and young people into the town centre. The college's award-winning bus travel scheme saw around 500,000 journeys made by learners, staff and apprentices over its first year of operation, supporting learners' access to the Derby Road campus for both college and Nottingham Trent University, with most of these learners journeying via the bus station in the town centre. The scheme gives students flexible bus travel at best value for commuting and leisure journeys and provides cost-effective transport, including at weekends when accessing the town centre. The council is also working to promote town centre events with its partners, including the bid, bringing more residents and visitors to the town centre. The Party on the Market saw over 17,000 people coming into the town for the event in June 2024. The Sunday before saw around 10,000 regular visitors, with therefore a 63% increase in footfall. And a review of the public transport over the Sunday saw its use of bus station increase by nearly 17%. 10% of the visitors were from out of the town.
Thank you, Councillor.
Sorry, I'm not finished yet. I just altered my screen. Just bear with me a second. So, as I say, 10% of the visitors were from out of the town. As a passionate Stags fan and a season ticket holders, as many of us rightly are, I would add that their success reflects positively on the town, with more fans attending Field Mill and bringing increased footfall from supporters as they visit our town. And I'm sure that will continue as they progress through the league. Finally, Councillor Hartshorn mentions a business improvement district. Members will be aware that at the time of this meeting, the outcome of the ballot for the continuation of the bid is still to be announced, and I'm sure we will all await the outcome with interest. The council has long held a positive relationship with the bid, working collaboratively on community safety, street cleansing, town centre management, events and promotions. For each bid period, these operations are subject to agreement and review. Working together, this approach has led to the bid and council facilitated a town centre subgroup reporting to the place board designed to facilitate greater working with a range of town centre stakeholders. Businesses and agencies, long may that spirit of joint working continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Holman? No, thank you very much. Thank you. Right, now you to ask your third question to the elected mayor.
Thank you. Can the Mayor please highlight the support he and the officers have in place in Mansfield District Council to support those who did not meet the threshold to claim the winter fuel allowance for 2024?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Hartshorn. Following the motion to the Council on the 17th of September, we decided to make 3 actions. To launch a council-led local awareness campaign to alert and encourage those eligible for pension credit to apply for it. The second action was to encourage local efforts to promote pension credit uptake through our council and partnerships with local charities and community organisations, including Mansfield CVS and where they have really strong community links. The third action was to ensure that the council's housing and wellbeing teams continue to secure support for the most vulnerable residents through the Household Support Fund, which is access to provide essential help to all of those in need. Officers have been really busy with a wide range of activities to support as much as possible. For those who do not meet the threshold, long-standing services provided by the council and jointly with partners continue to be promoted and include the following: the Mansfield Fuel Bank, Better Housing, Better Health, the Household Support Fund and the Feeding Mansfield Network, and the various food provisions available to local people that is promoted by the network, along with the wraparound services connected to some of the food clubs, food banks and food share schemes that exist within the district. So our support network, working in partnership with our community champions and voluntary sector, provides help and assistance to all sectors of the community, families and those struggling with loneliness and their mental health. There are food banks, there are food shares, food clubs in every part of the district that not only provide vital supplies to feed hungry mouths, but are also a safe community space where residents meet up and are comfortable to discuss the challenges that they face. Warm meals are provided at St. Peter's Church, the Beacon, the Salvation Army, the Advent Church in Woodhouse, Bridge Street Methodist Church and Bethel Church, to make sure that the most vulnerable have somewhere to have a meal 6 days a week. A significant amount of work has also been undertaken to increase the uptake of pension credit, which will then unlock the winter fuel payment. And as we know, there are many eligible people in our district who do not claim that payment. The pension credit is, it's worth £3,900. And if you qualify for pension credit, you automatically get access to that £300 winter fuel payment and most likely attendance allowance as well. So we organise a pension and credit task and finish group with a range of partners, including Department of Work and Pensions, Citizen Advice Bureau and Mansfield CVS, to organise efforts and identify an approach to reach the most people. And this has included sending out 1,500 letters to those who are on state pension and claim a council tax reduction that we believe will be eligible for pension credit. So it's all about targeting, trying to find and target those in need. The letter will provide further information on how to apply and where residents can access a wide range of support activities. In addition, the DWP has already sent a further 259 letters to residents on state pension and receiving the housing benefit to encourage them to apply. So Mansfield have done this with one officer, and compared to the other districts, there's only 39 letters been sent out in Rushcliffe and 46 in Broxtowe. So although that's kind of a bit disappointing that we have that level of need, I'm really encouraged by the amount of proactive work by our officers to try and identify those people that would need that support. The councils also have been doing their bit. Jane Beaches has set up a surgery at the coffee morning at the food share that was set up by Sue Swinscoe and the team of Ladybrook councillors, including Paul and Lynn Henshaw, Gary Cole, Stuart Richardson, Terry Clay, and supported by Deborah Clay at Brookside Hall. And that has referred over 200 pensioners toward pension credit. So it's that kind of being present in the community to find those people who need that help. So we've also been sharing the government communications on pension credit and winter fuel payments through our social media channels, and the most recent being on the 15th of November. Information was also included in our residents' e-news that went out on the 22nd of November, and messages will continue to be promoted on a frequent basis right up to the application deadline for 2024 fuel allowance, which is the 21st of December. So it's really important that we keep the momentum up on this work. So the reason why this is so important is that, you know, is the access to the 3,900 and the other benefits. So I want to say thank you to all those involved, and let's just keep our efforts up right up to the 21st of December to make sure that most of our vulnerable residents do get access and help.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Hartshaw?
Yes, thank you. Can I just ask that information be circulated, please?
Yeah, we actually had a presentation at 4 o'clock today by the team, and there's a really good set of slides and a lot of contact information. So we'll be sending that out to all councillors, and it's got information on how everybody can refer anybody they might know into the various funding that might help them.
Thank you. Before we move on to the fourth question, I'm going to hand over to the CEO.
Thank you, Chair. It's just in relation to the previous question for the portfolio holder for regeneration growth from Councillor Hartshorn. It was mentioned within there that the bid is up for election. As the returning officer, I just need to declare an interest. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I would like to invite Councillor Stengle to put a question to Councillor Beaches, Councillor Henshaw and Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Section 2.09.2 of the Council's Constitution, Role of Overview and Scrutiny Committees, states that Overview and Scrutiny Committees must report annually to the full Council on their workings. Can the Councillors Beaches, Henshaw and Mackenzie tell the Council when the report for the administrative year 2023-24 will be submitted to Council, please?
Thank you. Councillor Henshaw.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Before I answer the question on behalf of the Select Committee chairs, it just gives me an opportunity to state publicly and to this council what fantastic work the scrutiny committees actually do. And I think the report that went to governance and standards, where we decided to retain the three scrutiny committees, was the correct decision. And I was glad to see, and it has been reported to council, that it was a unanimous decision to recommend that we retain the communities and service, place and corporate resources committees. So I think I'll move on now to answer the question given tonight. What we'll do is the annual report and overview and scrutiny for the year 23-24 will be submitted in March 2025, and that will come to a full council meeting. I'm sorry that, the other committee chairs agreed with this. We're sorry that we've not been able to push it sooner than that, but as you will understand, there have been other issues in and around with regards to elections and things that sort of knocked us off kilter. But I fully intend to make sure that report comes to you in March 2025. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, councillor Henshaw. Councillor Stendhal, do you have a supplementary question? Thank you. Now we need to move on to item.
Just before we move on, I should have made a declaration of interest at the beginning of the meeting. It's my mistake. Can I make it now?
Yes.
Sorry about this. I had a word with our senior legal advisor, Samir Khan, before the meeting. I'm going to come to the motion about the miners' pension scheme. I'll be leaving the meeting if that's all right. So I've got personal interest.
Thank you, councillor Barton. Does anybody else need to make a declaration of interest?
Can we have clarification on if you're in receipt of the MPS, does that mean that whoever is in receipt of the MPS needs to leave? They'll not just declare their interest.
Thank you. It's normal practice for you to declare an interest and leave the meeting. That is normal practice, but you can stay if you so wish to. It's your decision. But the guidance is that you declare an interest and leave the meeting.
With that, then I declare interest to the declare point on the agenda.
So thank you. So we now have councillor Coxhead, councillor Clay. Does anybody else need to declare an interest before we move forward? Councillor Walker. Okay, thank you. Oh, councillor Hughes. Thank you. Councillor Bell. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to item 7 of the agenda. Extract minute from the Governance and Standards. Okay. Item 7 of the agenda, extract minute from the Governance and Standards Committee, review of overdue and scrutiny. I'd now like to invite Councillor Bell to propose the review of the overdue and scrutiny.
Chair, review of overdue and scrutiny. Members will recall that the Governance and Standards Committee re-established the overdue and scrutiny working group following the 2023 elections to review the structure and effectiveness of the council's overdue and scrutiny function. 2 meetings of the group were held on the 4th of October and the 16th of November, following which proposed recommendations from this group were unanimously approved. In turn, the Governance and Standards Committee unanimously approved the recommendations from the working group on the 25th of September 2024. The report contains details of the information considered by the committee, which was used to assist the working group in its deliberations. This included a SWOT analysis of the current system as recommended by the LGA. Following the induction sessions run by the LGA as part of the 2023 member induction programme, the results which can be found on page 13 of the report. The committee agreed that the 3 overview and scrutiny committees be retained, as it provided an overview structure appropriate to enable all the scrutiny of the council's functions and services. The working group also considered ways to improve the scrutiny process through the development of the annual work programme, to ensure that its development is member-led and not officer-driven. I am pleased to report that this has been a greater involvement of the members in agreeing the work programme for 24-25 municipal year. It is hoped to build on this improvement in future years. The group also recognised the importance of training to development, the effectiveness of the function, and the report contains details of training undertaken by chairs of the overview and scrutiny committees for the communities and services in place. Of particular note, in the attendance of the budget scrutiny event by East Midlands Council, where the council's approach to budget scrutiny was commended and would be highlighted as good practice. I am happy to propose the recommendations as set out in page 17 and 18 of the council agenda and reserve the right to speak.
Councillor Bell, do you have a seconder?
I'll second that and reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Harshaw. Does anybody wish to comment on the motion? No? Thank you. Councillor Hartshaw, do you wish to comment?
No, thank you.
Councillor Bell? Thank you. So I'll now put the motion to the vote. By show of hands, all those for? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion is carried. Now move to item 8 of the agenda. Extract minutes from the Governance and Standards Committee, the Treasury Management Report for the 30th of June 2024. I would like to invite Councillor Bell to propose and present his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Treasury Management Update Report, Quarter 2, 2024-25. The Treasury Management Report for the Quarter 2 of 24-25 was presented to the Governance and Standards Committee at the meeting on the 20th of November. In summary, the report covered a background to local authority treasury management, borrowing activities undertaken during the quarter, the investments that have taken place during the quarter, the rate of return achieved by the council, and its compliance with the treasury management strategy as approved by the council in March of this year. The committee was informed that the investment strategies had operated within the approved indicators during the financial year. The committee agreed the recommendations that 1. The Treasury Management Monitoring Report 1st of April to 2023 to 30th of September 2024 be noted. The prudential indicators detailed in paragraph 7.4 of both reports be noted. Council has to note the contents of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder?
Yes, I'll second that and reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Hartshaw. Would anybody like to comment on the motion? Comments? Councillor Hartshaw?
Thank you.
Councillor Bell?
Comment, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll put the motion to the vote by a show of hands. All those for? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion's carried. We on to item 9 of the agenda. The extract money from the Governance and Standards Committee, Treasury Management Report to 30th of September 2024. I'd like to invite Councillor Bell to present and propose his report.
To 1/20/24-25. The Treasury Management Report for Quarter 1 of 24-25 was presented to the Governance and Standards Committee on the 25th of September. In summary, the report covered a background to local authority treasury management, borrowing activities undertaken during the quarter, the investments that had taken place during the quarter, the rate of return achieved by the council, and its compliance with the treasury management strategy as approved by the council in March of this year. The committee was informed that the investment strategies had operated within the improved indicators during the financial year. The committee agreed the recommendation that 1. The Treasury Management Monitoring Report 1st of April 2023 to 30th of June 2024 be noted. The prudential indicators detailed in paragraph 7.4 also be noted. Council is asked to note the contents of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Do we have a seconder?
So I'll second that and reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Hartshaw. Would anybody like to comment on the motion? No, thank you. Councillor Hartshaw?
No further comment.
Councillor Bell?
Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Now put it to the vote. All those in favour, show of hands. Thank you. Any against? Abstentions? Thank you. Now on to item 10 of the published agenda. Extract one from the Governance and Standards Committee, a proposed change to executive arrangements. I'd like to invite Councillor Bell to propose and present his report. Thank you.
At the meeting of the Governance and Standards Committee on the 20th of November 24, members were informed of the outcome of an interview process for the vacant post of independent non-elected member on the Governance and Standards Committee. The interview panel recommended that Andrea Smith be appointed to the post of independent non-elected member of the Governance and Standards Committee, subject to the council. Yeah, yes, my sincere apologies. Too many trees on the desk. We'll start again.
Thank you, Councillor Bell.
I'm just trying to get it through, that's all.
Councillor Bell, will you put your mic on, please?
You don't want to. The motion. Yeah, I don't leave it. Yeah, I'm going to say I can hear me. The motion was that the Chief Executive and Monitoring Officer review the process and models of operation of the authority with the view to holding a referendum once the work is complete and after being considered by the Council. Members will already be aware that the Council currently operates under a directly elected mayor, which was elected in 2002, following the referendum with 55% of the votes in favour of having a directly elected mayor. In order to change the current governance arrangements, the Council will need to hold a referendum on the Local Government Act 2000. Any recommendations that come forward to propose any changes in governance arrangement is subject to a referendum as set out in the section 9M of the Local Government Act 2000. The Constitutional Working Group met on the 20th November when they considered all four options, namely, first, executive arrangement with directly elected mayor, that's the current arrangement. 2, a leader in a cabinet. 3, a committee structure. 4, arrangement prescribed by the Secretary of State. After considerable deliberation amongst members, it was unanimously agreed to retain the governance and standard structure of the elected mayor. The recommendation of the Constitutional Working Group was then put to the Governance and Standards Committee on the 20th of November, who unanimously endorsed the group's recommendation in full. I am happy to propose and endorse the recommendations of the Governance and Standards Committee to retain the current governance structure and for no referendum to be held. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Do I have a seconder?
I second that, Reserve Right.
Thank you, Councillor Hartshaw. Would anybody like to discuss the motion? Councillor Moxon.
Thank you. Can I just first point out a point of clarification? It wasn't unanimously agreed in the meeting, so can you just correct that, Councillor Bell, before I continue? Thank you. All right.
Thank you for the clarification.
And I was that person that voted against it. It was a Conservative Party manifesto pledge to hold a referendum on the mayor, as I believe it was in the Labour Party's manifesto in 2019 as well. Now, I get that in the meeting that we had, I think we had a very frank exchange of views, and I think everyone was really honest, and we had a really good discussion about it. But
basically, I think people were astonished about the amount of money that it would cost in terms of having a second referendum. There's figures being talked of 125,000, I think it was, and then if it wasn't done during the county council elections, it'd be 190,000. Now, so the question to me is, you know, what price do you put on democracy if people are out there are saying that that's what they want, that they want a referendum on the mayor? People have told me that on the doorstep, that they want a referendum. They feel the time is right to have that discussion again. It's more than 20 years ago that we had the last referendum on it. So what price do you put on democracy? And the other part of it is that I feel that by voting for this recommendation and not having a referendum, this council could inadvertently be put into a position where somebody could put in a petition to the council. I think it was only about 4,040 names on a petition I think it needed in order to trigger such a referendum, which would then cost in excess of 190,000. So again, you know, this was part of our manifesto, was to have a referendum. I think it's about time that the people of Mansfield had their say on this again, and so we'll be voting against this motion tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Watson. Councillor Jennings?
I was part of the group as well, and I saw all of these numbers get brought up. And as somebody who's representing residents of Park Hall, I feel confident to say when it comes to a number like 125 grand, they'd think that price was too high. So that was why I voted against the idea of having a referendum, because I believe that my residents would not want the council to spend 125 grand on something when money is tight. And also, when it comes to the idea of a petition, if 4,000 people say they would want us to spend near enough to 200 grand on an election, that's their prerogative. But until then, it is the council's prerogative to think what is best for the whole of Mansfield in terms of not just democracy matters, but also in terms of financial matters. And personally, and I think most of us on some level think that we have to consider price, and if 4,000 people say, so be it.
Are there any more comments? Oh, sorry. Councillor Bergen?
Yeah, just wanting to, obviously, I'm not on the committee or in the working group, but recent events where the review of local government structures has been put forward could supersede any arrangement we've got here at Mansfield District Council. So in effect, if we were to vote in favour of spending £25,000 on the referendum, that could well be just wasted money, because legislation might change that anyway.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? Councillor Camilleri?
Thank you. As everybody knows, when I stood for mayor, one of the platforms I stood on was to get rid of the mayor. And I'm very sad, because the reason I've not progressed it is because you said you were going to do it. But in typical Labour fashion, you've not kept your word. And, well, hold on.
Councillor Camilleri to speak, please. Thank you.
Right. You said you were going to get
Point of
rid of
order,
the mayor.
Chair. Can I clarify? We didn't say we were going to get rid of the mayor. We said we'd have a review into it, and this is the conclusion of that review.
Okay. I think your Prime Minister said we're going to scrap the winter funeral out, and he did. So you know, it is really hard to believe anything that you say. However, going on from that, it really is a waste of time doing it, because I think we won't be here in 3 or 4 years, because your government's already said you're going to look at government reorganisation that hasn't happened for
since 1974. And it's way time, it's overdue. We need reorganising. We need it getting sorted out. We're a small town council struggling for money. We need to be doing it better, and we don't do it very good. And this is a classic example. The people want to get rid of the mayor. My constituents, residents want to get, but we can't afford to do it. So, like what my colleague said here, what price democracy? That's what I say. I think it's a waste of time, because in 3 or 4 years we won't be here.
Councillor Paul Henshaw.
Thanks, Chair. Well, yeah, I mean, I take exception to Andre saying we're a small town council. Well, we are a medium-sized town with an ambitious mayor and a Labour cabinet that are pushing things forward. Bearing in mind that the reason we find ourselves in such a financial predicament isn't because we've had a Labour government for 20 odd weeks. It's because we had a Tory national government for 14 years that bled local government dry, didn't offer any sort of remuneration in relation to local government finance. So don't lecture us on making things worse, because you ought to hang your head in shame with regard to what you and your colleagues in Westminster did. And democracy is a wonderful thing. I'm surprised you didn't come forward with regard to getting rid of the elected mayor when you were a member of the independent cabinet on this council. When we had Tony Eggington as the independent mayor, you kept very, very quiet about that, didn't you? So, if we're looking at democracy sometimes throws some curve balls.
Councillor
Because you couldn't get, it had to run for 10 years, so it wasn't on the agenda, so we couldn't do it. So read your facts, Paul.
That's not a point of order. I'm talking to the motion and commenting to the motion. Technically, I'm doing it within the rules, so it's not a point of order. Might be a point of clarification that you may well say that was the case, but you never mentioned it when you were a member of the Mansfield Independent Forum.
Yes, that's right. Correct. It's clarification. Thank you, Councillor Henshaw.
Yeah, so, as I said, democracy sometimes throws some curved balls, but there's one thing I don't agree with, or I should agree with democracy. I think if you get to a stage in your political life where you want to change from one political party to another, and you did this, Councillor Camilleri, you changed from being I don't know. Perhaps you were always a Conservative, but you were saying you're an independent, like a lot of the independent forums saying that they're independent, but they weren't. I honestly...
Point of clarification.
Councillor Henshaw, could you just stick to what you comment, please?
Let's go. Can I have a point of clarification? I stood down as a councillor in 2007. I stood as the independent MP in 2010. I didn't jump ship. I just changed my mind, as people do. And I didn't jump ship. I wasn't elected. I didn't have a seat.
Councillor Camilleri, take your point. Thank you.
Thank you for the point of clarification. You still changed from one to another, so therefore you might have been disingenuous, but that's up to you. I honestly think, though, that if you do change your mind, then you should offer yourself to the electorate in relation to what your new views and principles are. I would say that if you're elected as an independent councillor or a Mansfield Independent Forum...
Councillor Henshaw, would you mind getting to the point, please? Thank
you. But it's for a debate. If you then change your mind, you should offer yourself to the electorate in your new colours. Now, that is what I believe, and I think a lot of other people believe that as well. In relation to this motion that's on the floor tonight, I fully support the recommendations that came from the committee that looked into it and said that due to costs, and I believe that they had fully costed implications of what it would cost us if we went down the referendum route. So we have been starved of money. We can't justify spending the money on a referendum at this point in time. And Councillor Camilleri, I will say to you, you are correct that local government, there's a white paper, I believe, coming in later on in relation to local government reorganisation. We may well not be here. But at the end of the day, the situation is as we find it. We've got an elected mayor. We've got an elected mayor that's pushing this town forward despite all the problems that he's inherited from a Conservative 14-year government. Hopefully things are going to get better. And we've got a Labour cabinet that are pushing forward this town. And I think this town is one of the best places to live in the country. And we should be standing on the street corner saying what a fantastic place it is. Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry I rambled on.
Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. I'm sorry, Councillor Ellis.
I just wanted to say that we were talking about democracy, and Councillor Camilleri stood as for mayor on a platform of doing away with the mayor, but he didn't get in, and the mayor we have increased his majority. So I feel that that is democracy, and we have actually mentioned this before to the vote.
Are there any more comments? Yeah. Councillor Hartshorn.
Thank you. I'd just like to say, after 14 years of Councillor Camilleri, being in charge over there, now leaving us to pick up the pieces, I take no lessons from him at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hartshorn. Councillor Bell?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to use 3.1. The cost of holding a referendum at a standalone election are estimated at 190,000 based on the costs of May 2023 district election. The council will be responsible for these costs. 3.2, it's estimated that the cost would reduce to 125,000 if the referendum was held as a combined poll with another election, as some of the costs would be shared across the two elections. Can we afford it? No, we can't. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. I'm going to put the motion to the vote. This will be by a show of hands. All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. Any abstentions?
Declaring interest.
One abstention. Thank you. Motion is carried. We now move on to item 12 of the agenda. Extract minute from the government. I'll start again. Item 11 of the agenda. Extract minute from the Governance and Standards Committee. Appointment of an independent non-elected member. I'd like to invite Councillor Bell to present and propose his report. Thank you.
Chair, the right answer this time. At the meeting of the Governance and Standards Committee on the 20th of November 2024, members were informed of the outcome of an interview process for the vacant post of independent non-elected member on the Governance and Standards Committee. The interview panel recommended that Andrea Smith is appointed to the post independent non-elected member of the Governance and Standards Committee, subject to the Council's approval for a 4-year period. The committee endorsed the above proposal. I make the proposal to the full Council Andrea Smith be appointed to the vacant post of non-independent elected member of Governance and Standards for a period of 4 years. Reserve the right to speak, Chair.
Councillor Bell, do you have a seconder?
Yes, I second that. Reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Hartshorn. Would anybody like to comment on the motion? Thank you, Councillor Hartshorn.
Reserve the comment.
Councillor Bell.
The comment, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll put the motion to the vote by a show of hands. All those in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Now move on to item 12 of the agenda, extract and read from the Licensing Committee, Gambling Act 2005, a revised statement of principles. I'm going to invite Councillor Coxhead to present and propose his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The Gambling Act 2005 revised statement of principles. The committee was advised that the council's statement of gambling policy was due for renewal, as there was a requirement to review the statement every 3 years. The Gambling Act 2005 requires every council to have a statement of gambling policy, which will include information stipulated within the Gambling Commission's statutory guidance to licensing authorities in England and Wales. The Council's statement of gambling policy must undergo a thorough review and public consultation every 3 years. There are very few changes to the new policy, the date, roadmap and local area demographics. A statutory consultation that has taken place and there have been no comments. The recommendations is to approve for publication and information the statement of gambling policy to take effect from the 31st of January 2025. And with this, I propose item 12.
Thank you, Councillor Coxhead. I will second the motion and reserve the right. Does anybody wish to comment? No, thank you. I'm going to put the motion to the vote. So by a show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion's carried. Item 13 of the agenda, extract minute from the Personnel Committee. I'm going to hand over to the Chief Executive.
Thank you, Chair. This item is withdrawn from this meeting as the interviews and the meeting that was due to take place was cancelled. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Item 14 on the agenda. Are there any motions for the meeting?
Thank you, Chair. There are two.
Thank you. I'd now like to invite Councillor Bergin to present his motion.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to read out the motion as it's written, and then I'll do on this a little bit of talk afterwards. So it is essential that councillors attend meetings. To accommodate this, it is very important that meetings are arranged at the most suitable time to ensure that all elected members are available when a meeting is called, taking into consideration other demands such as work commitments. Most of Mansfield District Council meetings start at 6 p.m. and this time fits in well with most working days. However, the current constitution does not state the start times of meetings is fixed at 6 p.m. This motion, if adopted, requests the consultation is updated immediately to say that all meetings start at 6 p.m. except the following: delegated decision meetings, joint consultative committee, health and safety committee and personnel committee, when the purpose of the meeting is to carry out interviews, which will be set out in the agenda. The motion recognises that the nature of business for these committees is, in the example of a personnel committee, when interviewing to appoint senior officers is best done during the working day due to the function of the committee is performing. Or 6 p.m. is not suitable for most suitable time for JCC and Health and Safety Committee. To me, as council employees, make up membership of those committees. So if passed, this Mansfield District Council agrees to update the constitution to state that all meetings and committees start at 6 p.m. With the exception of delegated decision, joint consultative committee, health and safety committee and personnel committee when interviewing to appoint senior officers as set out in the body of the motion. The reason for bringing this motion forward is because I wrongly thought from previous terms that the constitution did set out that meetings start at 6 p.m. When I spoke to officers, they told me it didn't. I had conversations with councillors that's been around for as long or even longer than me, and they was quite surprised that the constitution didn't say that either, because they thought it did. So it's just a bit of tidying up, really. It is important. Our electorates, the people that put us here, expect us to attend meetings. So it's important that all people are given the opportunity to do that. Our group's got a wide range of members, a lot of whom work, some locally, some all over the country. So we've got small businesses, and I know that's reflected in some of the other groups as well. So I put this for motion to the council, and I hope that it's supported. I'd also like to thank Councillor Barton for agreeing to second it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Thank you, councillor Barton. Would anybody like to comment? Councillor Moxon?
Yes, thank you. I put in an amendment to this, and I don't know whether the monitoring officer's got that, and we should distribute it before I say anything further.
The meeting will be adjourned for 10 minutes while people can move away to read the amendment. Thank you. Thank you. We now need to debate on the original motion. Does anybody wish to comment? Yeah, just had clarification from the legal officer. It's from the original motion.
Process is we have a motion, we haven't had a debate on it, so the process is motion first, debate on the motion, then amendments, and then debate on the amendments. That's the process.
Okay, does anybody wish to comment on the original motion? Thank you. We'll move to the amendment. I have a proposer. Councillor Moxon, do we have a seconder? Councillor Anderson. Thank you. We now need to debate on the amendment. Do you have any comments? Councillor Bergin?
Thank you. I don't really see any substantial changes to the amendment to the original motion, other than a couple of changes of wording. We're not going to argue about supporting this. Debate all you want, but I think we've got the numbers to.
Thank you, Councillor Bergin. Does anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Moxon?
Thank you very much. Wow, I mean, I'm gobsmacked at that reaction to that. This was put forward genuinely to try and be helpful. I put this forward thinking that we could end up sort of down a rabbit hole and inadvertently sort of tie ourselves to having to have a meeting at 6 o'clock, particularly if we ended up with a monitoring officer that happened to be quite pedantic. For example, you could end up, you know, like I say, getting yourself down a rabbit hole, having to have a meeting at 6 o'clock and not giving yourself the flexibility. And so literally that's all I was trying to do, was trying to be helpful by suggesting that it says no earlier than 6 o'clock, so you can give yourself that flexibility. I put it forward to the monitoring officer. She put it to Councillor Bergin earlier today, and I said, yeah, that's fine. I'm not bothered about having my name to it or anything like that. Literally, all it was to try to be helpful, and that's thrown back in your face, and is how I feel. And you've summed it up there, Councillor Bergin. You don't even want to debate it. You don't want to talk about it. I think it's disgusting, quite frankly, your attitude to that. But you know, the people out there will see that. All we're trying to do is be helpful, trying to change this. You don't even want to debate it, and you've said we've got the numbers, sod you. So, and you say
I don't think you quite said that, Councillor Moxon.
You did. You said we've got the numbers. So we know
I didn't think you said the last few words.
So I think it's disgusting, quite frankly, and I'm shocked that you asked you.
Councillor Moxon, you submitted this amendment about today.
Yeah.
Any time since this agenda was published, you could have picked up the phone to me, phoned me up and said, how about looking at changing this wording and having a longer conversation? And having an email dropped on me when I got in from work at 4 p.m. and I had to quickly look at it before I got changed to come to this meeting. You didn't reach out, you didn't have the time. When I wanted to put this motion forward, I took the time to reach out to Councillor Barton. I phoned him up and said, I'm looking at doing this, I'll send you the wording, what do you think?
Thank you.
I reached out, does it?
Thank you, Councillor Bergin, for the clarification. Are there any more comments on this motion? Councillor Henshaw?
Thanks, Chair, and I'll keep my comments brief in relation to the answer. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, a motion came forward and an amendment has been put. Now, we can debate nobody wanted to debate the original motion at this stage, but the amendment is being put, and there are a few comments I want to make in relation to that. And, if you recall the issue relating to starting meetings at 6 o'clock, I know that there may be extenuating circumstances sometime in the future, like there was during COVID, but the changes to committee meetings and things like that always ended up, there was a directive from Parliament to tell us that we needed to be flexible in our meeting times. The other issue in relation to starting meetings at 6 o'clock the majority of meetings that I attend, we start at 6 o'clock. And there is a certain amount of flexibility in relation to the chair if they wish to 5 minutes or so, but that's no problem. When you look at it, years ago, this council religiously used to start meetings at 2:30 in the afternoon. That was because we had a lot of councillors that worked for nationalised industries who encouraged their employees to participate in their local communities and offering themselves up to be councillors. We've no longer got that. If we want this council to be flexible and also representative, we need to be careful in relation to what time our meetings start. If you're a younger person with a mortgage, with a not so sympathetic boss, and you're saying that, well, we'll start our meetings at 2:30 in the afternoon, that's fair enough. You have the law on your side to say or request that you attend if you're elected council meetings, but it's what is deemed to be reasonable. Some employers are more reasonable than others. So therefore, making the meetings later on in the afternoon, bearing in mind that not a lot of us work shifts, so I would agree that sometimes if you used to be on 3-shift pattern, you may not get 6. But the majority of people in this room now do not work shifts, but they work in the day. So if you put meetings in the day, and if you look at the LGA reports, they struggle to get people to offer themselves up to be councillors. So if you're having a restrictive practice where you put in meetings in the daytime, then you will restrict the people offering themselves to be councillors even more. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that we're starting the meetings at 6. Now, if this causes problems, and I'll take the monitoring officer's advice on this, when then could you bring back a motion to try and rectify any anomalies that proceed from that? But anyway, I reject the motion and I support the reject the amendment. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. Councillor Wright.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I've been in this chamber since 2011. I ought to go home, but I've been there since 2011, and other than the meeting that's following this meeting later, there's never been any meeting starting later than 6 o'clock. So I support the original motion and reject the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Camilleri.
Yes, I'm a little bit confused. Why would you ask to ring Councillor Barton to second this motion and not ring the leader of the opposition? Is there a new coalition between you and Labour? Why would you ring to? Why would you not ring? What's clarification, Chair?
No, they don't. It's called a long-standing relationship.
Point of order, Chairman.
Thank you. Sorry,
Councillor Camilleri keeps making comments about us voting with Labour. I vote when I feel the right to vote. Like the Mayor earlier made a flippant comment. Please stop making flippant comments across the chain, please.
Right, thank you.
Could I carry on?
Just 2 minutes, Councillor Camilleri. Councillor Bergen, did you want to clarify something?
Just to clarify that the reason that I spoke to Councillor Barton is because I've got a relationship with Councillor Barton that I've built up over many years. We don't see eye to eye and everything, but we're mature enough and old enough to move beyond that and work together when we need to. From the experience I've got from working with you as new councillors last year, I've not got that relationship, so I'm not going to reach out to you, am I? And it doesn't matter which party we choose to work with cross-party. It's about getting a cross-party motion that's supported by the majority of this council, and that's what I've done.
Thank you, Councillor Bergen. Councillor Camilleri, would you like to continue?
You took it that you don't want to work with us, you want to work with Reform or whoever it is, because they obviously agree more with you than you
We need to remind you, Councillor Camilleri, that this is a public meeting. I do need to remind you that this is a public meeting, so if everybody could just refrain and continue with the meeting, thank you. Yeah, you're targeting individuals. We can just continue with what you want to make. Would you comment on the amended motion?
This is, if you'd have run Nigel, and you accepted he is a reasonable man, you accepted Nigel, I'll put this, what do you think as the main opposition party? Would you go on with this? You've got amendments to it, any changes? You would have said yes, but no, you didn't. You decided to go to your mate from years and years ago, Councillor Barton, who you say you can get on better and he'll agree with you more. Well, that's all I want to know, really, if that's the case.
Thank you, Councillor Camilleri. Councillor Denise?
Something I think this motion in a way actually says, which is very rude to our hard-working officers. It seems to say to me that the opposition actually believed if there was something like nuclear war and we had to meet as a council, you actually believed there would be an officer that would stop us from meeting early, perhaps earlier than 6 o'clock. So for that reason, I think this motion is actually quite rude to our hard-working officers.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Councillor Beaches?
Sorry, Chair, I couldn't get the mic to work, but not that I need one, because obviously I'm from Woodhouse. We don't need a mic, as Mr Camilleri always knows. I'm going to be supporting this motion, but I do think that you are very rude, and I think whoever Andy wants to ring up in his spare time is his business and not yours. But if you're jealous of that, if you give me your direct number, I'll ring you constantly to make you feel loved.
Councillor Stendhal?
Thank you. Personally, I think this is just a word thing. That's somebody having words that are better than somebody else's.
Yeah.
That really it's the same, so I'm not quite sure what we're arguing about. But for me, it's about the members of the public, not us in this room. Because the members of the public know what time and what days there will be a meeting here. So if it's 6 o'clock for most meetings, and they have a list of those meetings and the dates, they'll know what time, because it'd be 6 o'clock. It's been 6 o'clock, as I remember, for many of these meetings listed here over the last 23 years since I was first elected to the council. There may be occasions when we need to change a time of the meeting under certain circumstances, which will be dealt with I'm sure, in the way the Constitution sets out for changing it. I won't be supporting the amendment because I think it says exactly the same as the motion, and I think we're sat here talking about a few words. Now, I'm not very, very clever in English, but I'm clever in lots of other ways, and I really think this is a waste of time as talking about this motion at 6 o'clock when the first motion says 6 o'clock. It's about the way it's worded.
Thank you, Councillor Stendhal. Does anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Anderson. Councillor Moxon.
Thank you. Just, reiterate that it was, I'm shocked at the reaction from particularly Councillor Bergin. Just to allay people's fears, there was nothing meant in it to be rude or disrespectful, certainly not to the council staff at all. It was just to try and clarify things properly, and I'm shocked at the attitude of the cabinet member. I, to be honest, thought better of him.
We're now going to move to the vote. We're now voting on the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment, please show your hands. Thank you. All those against the amendment? Thank you. Any abstentions? Okay, the amendment is lost. We now move on to the original the original motion. Would anybody like to comment on the original motion? Councillor Garner.
Yes, can we put it to vote, please?
We will be doing Councillor Garner, please be assured. Okay. So no more comments. Can we have Councillor Barton? Do you wish to comment?
Yes, I do. This is embarrassing, to be honest, from a councillor's point of view. It should have took 5 minutes. Instead, how long have we been on it? 40 minutes? It's ridiculous and it's embarrassing. I'm not going to lower the tone, but it's already been lowered too, because I'm going after this motion, because I can't be here for the next one. But can somebody else, Andre, pick his toys up? Can we put it to the vote, please?
Thank you. Councillor Bergin.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I echo what Councillor Barton has said, and despite what's been insinuated, while I'm friends with Mick out of this chamber, we do have our disagreements. We're not part of the same party or anything like that, as has been insinuated, but we know how to get on with each other for the better of the people of Mansfield, because that's what we're in this chamber to do. We're not here to put forward stupid amendments to motions that say exactly the same thing that we spend 30 minutes talking around. Thank you for everybody that's read my initial motion. Thank you for agreeing to support it. I'm really grateful.
Thank you. We'll now move to the vote on the original motion. All those in favour, show of hands. Any against? Any abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you. We're moving on to the second motion. There are those who have declared an interest. They can stay in the room if they want, but they cannot vote or comment. Or we advise you otherwise to leave the room. Yeah, it's it's the mayor and Jack, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I'd now like to invite the elected mayor to present a motion.
Thank you, Chair. The council recalls the motion passed at the full council meeting on the 29th of June 2021, submitted by the mayor, myself and the late Councillor Lohan, which expressed support for the conclusions and recommendations of the base committee inquiry into the mine workers pension scheme. At the time, the council urged the Conservative government to take action. However, our calls went unheeded. The council now welcomes the recent adjustments made by the new Labour government to the mine workers pension scheme, which provide crucial financial support for retired mine workers. With Mansfield constituency holding the highest number of former miners in the country who will benefit from this additional support, we are pleased to see that around 3,950 former mine workers in the Mansfield districts are set to receive an additional £116 per month. This adjustment will make a meaningful difference in the lives of our retired miners and their families. Accordingly, this council requests that the Mayor writes to the Secretary of State for Energy, Security and Net Zero to extend our thanks for recognising the importance of supporting our mining community. We further wish to thank our new MP from Mansfield, Stephen Yem, for his tireless efforts and ongoing advocacy with ministers on behalf of our residents. In addition, we commend his continued push for the British Coal Staff superannuation scheme BCSSS to receive similar adjustments, which would benefit other retired miners who have not yet seen these improvements. Lastly, we express our deep gratitude to the Mansfield campaigners who have championed this cause for decades and played a leading role in securing this outcome. Their dedication has been instrumental to ensuring justice for our former mine workers. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder?
I'll second that and reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. Does anybody wish to comment on the motion? Councillor Camilleri.
Being an ex NCB worker myself, I think it's fantastic. Some of these old lads who've worked there are getting some benefit. But I've got to just say something. I've noticed recently that Labour, a few more people are taking credit for what other people have done. Ben Bradley was a brilliant MP for Mansfield. He sat on numerous committees fighting this case. He actually got the actual government to recognise the case. It was him that did it. Nobody else did. And they're going to get this money, these miners, which I think is great. But they're also going to lose, some of them will lose their heating allowance. They're going to have higher council tax, going to have higher heating bills. Inflation is going to go skyrocketing soon, you see. And so the benefit of this, or all this work that you say that Stevie Ebber has been in 3 months and nobody's seen him, he's done something magical. Ben Bradley spent 6 years working on this. He was only an MP. He couldn't make the decision. He was absolutely brilliant what he does. And so I want to thank him for the work he did. And I'm so happy for the miners who got this money. But one more thing, what we said before, Labour are good at saying that they're going to give it you. They've not given it you yet, have they? And it's not been there yet. So when we get to that, that's what I'm looking for. So you've got to make sure as Labour people that your party keeps its promise and makes them get paid. Because you might not do that. Because experience tells us that Labour do let you down.
Councillor Wetton.
I didn't expect to follow that. I will do, Andre. I don't agree with a word you said, particularly about Ben Bradley. I've sat in lots of meetings with Ben and he didn't do much for us. As you can all see, this motion is that the council passed a motion that was submitted by the Mayor and everyone's friend, the late Councillor Brian Lowen. And he supported the inquiry into the miners' pension scheme. Brian was tireless in this. I will wholeheartedly be supporting this motion and know that Brian will be looking down, hoping everyone in this chamber also supports this, as we have in Mansfield around 3,950 ex-miners who will benefit from this recent adjustments made by the new Labour government. So the Mine Workers Pension Scheme and is fully supported by Mansfield's MP, Steve Young, who has campaigned tirelessly for this for years before he was an MP. So I will definitely be supporting the motion, and I'm sure everyone in this chamber will also support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wetton. Does anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Hammersley.
Thank you, Chair. I fully support what Councillor Wetton's just said. Also, I need to declare an interest that I'm in the British Coal Staff Superannuation Scheme. I've just spotted that. Thank you.
Thank you for your declaration of interest, Councillor Hammersley. Does anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Stevenson.
Just a small one. I find it ironic that the member opposite mentions taking credit and then stands up and thanks Ben Bradley for the work he's done when it's this new Labour government that's implemented this. So I'm very, very happy to see this going forward, fully in support of it, and I'd like to go ahead to vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Elected Mayor?
I don't really wish to be disrespectful to the memory of Brian by extending this anymore, but I think it's an embarrassment that you can stand up 14 years of Conservative government, all those Mansfield, it's not your turn to speak now, all those Mansfield campaigners have been tirelessly, year on year, after 14 years of that government, and it never moved forward. To stand and try and take some credit for that, it just actually beggars belief. And you've got things like the post office scandal. It's taken this government to come in and start to move that forward. Payments regard that. The NHS blood scandal. That's, again, years and years and years. So to try and make credit is quite embarrassing. So obviously I support this motion, and it's good to see a government coming in and taking action and getting things done.
Thank you, elected Mayor. We're now going to put the motion to the vote. By show of hands, all those in favour? Any against? Abstentions? Thank you. Motion is carried. Thank you. Now come to the end of the published agenda, and we will be closing the meeting. Thank you everybody for attending. I would like to remind members that it is the Council Acting as Charity Trust meeting will be held straight after.